And the number 3 House Republican, Congresswoman Liz Cheney, she's facing a backlash from her GOP colleagues, some of them. She was one of just 10 Republicans who joined Democrats in voting to impeach President Trump. After accusing him of summoning a mob that attacked the Capitol 2 weeks ago, she's also facing a primary challenge already in 2022. Congresswoman Liz Cheney, she joins us now. So glad to have you with us this morning. So last week, when you put out your statement about impeachment, you decided not to speak on the floor. I'm sure that you knew that there would be a lot of backlash. We have here some of your colleagues and headlines I hear from taking heat from the party, with some suggesting that you should be removed as conference chair. Is there anything you'd like to explain to your constituents or to all of us here about your decision and why you decided not to speak that day?
Well, look, I think that what we've watched over the course of the last several weeks certainly tells us how fragile our system is. And certainly, as we all watched yesterday, the peaceful transition of power that's really at the heart of our republic, all of us have an obligation to the Constitution, an obligation to do what we believe is right, what our oath compels us to do, that is above politics, above partisanship. That's, I think very important. I think it's incumbent on all of us. We came to different decisions, obviously, within our conference about that issue. And as we look forward now, and as we look at what we've seen, the unity of President Biden's inaugural address, but then contrasted with the executive orders that you watched him sign yesterday. And they're very much indicative of the kinds of policies that you knew that he would be putting forward during the campaign. We've watched him say that he's going to cancel the Keystone Pipeline, for example, which doesn't do anything with respect to emissions. It doesn't reduce emissions to do that. It just reduces jobs. So we've got a big set of challenges,
on the EOs, but to just keep it on this for just a second. You said to those who thought that you should be removed that you're not going anywhere. How do you plan to win if there is a vote about you as conference chair?
Look, I think we're going to have these discussions inside the conference. We have differences of opinion about a whole range of issues, including about this one. And I anticipate and am confident that we will be united as a conference going forward. We recognize how important it is to make sure that we're standing up and fighting against the policies of the Biden administration, the policies that we know are going to be very damaging for the country. We're looking at tax increases. We're looking at removal of protection for the unborn. We're looking at removal of protection for the Second Amendment. So we have a lot of things that we've got to come together on as a party and as a country to defend.
One last thing on impeachment. Do you think that the trial should go forward in the Senate?
There's a constitutional process. It's underway, and that is something that the Senate is going to determine. I think that again, we all need to take a step back and recognize that the fragility of our system, the security, the survival of our republic depends upon making decisions that have to do with things like the attack that we saw on January 6th that are separate from party, that can never be partisan when you're talking about, the mob attack on the Capitol
but the first move,
while we were counting votes.
But the first move is Speaker Pelosi's, right? She still has the article. If she so chose, she could probably keep it. Would you support that now?
Listen, they're going to have to decide what the next steps are here, and then of course the Senate will have to decide how they're going to run the trial. But I think all of us who lived through the events of January 6th, all who watched on television, and there are a lot of people, including Vice President Pence, for example, who just deserves tremendous praise and our gratitude for standing firm for his constitutional oath, for doing what he knew was right. And I think it's important that what happened on January 6th never happen again. I think it's also important that we come together as a party now to move forward to make sure that we are fighting against the kinds of policies that we know the Democrats are going to put forward, and also that we're putting forward a positive agenda of hope and opportunity for the future, letting people understand what Republicans stand for.
One quick one on that. Joe Biden talked a lot about unity. What should he do? What's his obligation?
I think that we all have an obligation to work together. I think that, the speech and the theme of unity is very important. I think that needs to be backed up with reaching across the aisle. I was really impressed, for example, with 17 of our House Republican freshmen who sent a letter to President Biden saying that they really want to find ways we can work together on issues like infrastructure, for example, on issues like COVID, how we can make sure that we get vaccine distribution moving. So there are a lot of areas that we can work together on. I think we need to find those, and I think we need to make sure we stand on principle on those in which we cannot agree.
I know I love to talk Wyoming and energy, but I also love me some Infrastructure Week. Thank you so much, Liz Cheney.
Thanks, Dana.
We'll be back in touch.
Take care.